Welcome to my podcast. Today's dream, tomorrow's reality. My name is Vickie Poole. I'm a master transformational coach and hypnotist specializing in habit change. This podcast is sponsored by the Enlightened Peach, and it's all about embracing our mosaic life. And some of you may ask, what is a mosaic life anyway? Well, it is recognizing that all the pieces of our life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. Change any one thing, and we are different. With that in mind, I invite you into embrace your perceived imperfections and celebrate who you are. This podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. I am your host, and today I have a special guest that I've actually had on a couple of times, and I'm so excited to share him with you again today. But before I do that, I would love for you to do me a solid. Leave a comment on this episode, and then remember to like, subscribe, and share. Because the way that I get everybody's message out to a broader audience is with your help. You liking, subscribing, share, making comments makes this message exponentially grow. So now, with that said, let's get started. So before I bring out this gentleman, I want to share that, like I said, I've had him on here a couple of times, and he always has an amazing a message. But I primarily invited him back on today because lately, now he doesn't call himself the cancer coach, but that's what I call him, and lovingly the cancer coach. The thing is that I have had so many people in the past few months that have either have cancer, in remission, have somebody with cancer. I mean, it's been a lot. And so the thing is that and he'll share some really amazing information with you. But most cancers, if not all cancers, but I'm not a scientist, I can't speak on it, but they're preventable. There are things that we can do to make sure that we don't get cancer or that we can heal through our cancer. And I will let him speak on it, but it has been the thing that's been on my mind because so many people that I've come in contact with are dealing with cancer in one form or another. And so every time I share his information out to them, and I thought about it and I thought, well, maybe I want to share it out again and have him to be talking directly to you about what he does. So, with that said, George's Cordoba, come on out. Let me get you a little. Oh, yay! There you are.
How are you? How are you,
I am
Vickie?
doing great. I am doing great. So, like I said, to me, you're the cancer coach. And so I would just love for you to just kind of share just maybe a little bit about how you got into this place. And then let's expand on how you work with your clients and why it's important.
hmm Well, thanks again for inviting me. For me, this is a calling. If you probably read my book, but yes, I used to be in the technology world. I was a technologist, CTO. But after my disease, which I battled for 10 years, I had 10 surgeries. Well, this is what I've been doing for the last 7 years. Yes, it is pretty much a cancer coach because I work with people that are dealing with cancer or the threat of recurrences, and I help them transform their health and vitality. But you said something that is very interesting. It seems just like it seems like time is flying faster than ever. We're already in April, but cancer is being kind of like going up the charts in terms of chronic disease. And according to several researchers, but the American Cancer Society, 1 of 3 Americans in the U.S., this is a U.S. stat, will have cancer in their lifetime. So a third. And if it can translate into 1 of 2 men will have it, or 1 of 3 women will have cancer. So we are dealing with something that is real and that is, like you said, affecting people directly or indirectly. It could be a partner, it could be a son, a relative, a friend, but we all have someone today even dealing with this disease. And the question is why? Why is this happening so much? And especially if we have gone so far with technology, but we're still human beings, and we have a body that's not going to change. And the reason we're getting sick is it's really our lifestyle. And like you well said, it is preventable. And if you already are dealing with the disease, I'll tell you in a minute what you can do. And but it takes some work. It takes
Mm-hmm.
also some, not only lifestyle change but also mindset. We're used to our mind. One of the rules of the mind is we learn by repetition, but it also, another rule is that the mind goes to what is familiar. And for all of us, we have learned what is familiar is to go to an oncologist to help us heal. That is just no question. I would say 99.5% will do that. I did it. I actually, when I was diagnosed, I went to an oncologist. I actually went to a few because I'm interviewing them. At the end of the day, they're my employee. I'm employing them, even though I'm doing the payment for, to help me, but it's only to help me. And but I thought that was the only alternative. And with time, and thank God, with faith and understanding my inside, because I, as an athlete, I also did a minor in nutrition at that time, years back in the 80s. And but so yeah, it's a combination of things. And if you are, one thing that is important to know, and I'm almost like you said, I'm talking to you guys that are dealing with cancer in one way or another. All disease, all chronic disease, including cancer, comes from an inflamed body. This is something that is no exceptions. Any disease you may think of that is chronic, whatever you, heart disease, diabetes, fire, any disease, the liver, from the liver, pancreas, and cancer comes from an from inflamed body. Okay, the other reason, another way that no one really talks about, oncologists don't know this, or they're just too busy about trying to help you with what type of chemo you're going to receive, or then you have the radiation or immunotherapy. That's their job. That's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
They're not nutritionists. They're not psychologists or therapists. They're just not. And but another reason, and this is very key, guys, recurrence. Why do we get so many recurrence, and why they call? This is something that I really didn't like when my oncologist, which is an amazing human being, he would say, "Well, it seems like you're in remission, Georges." Okay, remission? Are you telling me, you're kind of implying that it could come back? So there's
Mm-hmm.
always this little fear for people going through cancer that it could come back.
Yeah.
And in many cases, it comes back several times. I had 10 recurrences in my 10-year battle with malignant melanoma. But the reason for that is because we have not found the root cause of how and why this disease ended up in our body. It just doesn't just happen like that randomly. The reason it happens is also emotional. The emotions, the emotional clutter that we have in ourselves since we're very young, produce cortisol. So we could be eating the best foods and a very, let's say, uh, a great healthy plate that is basically balanced pH, and I'll talk about that in a second. But if you have emotional clutter, or if you're stressed out in the present, with anxiety, you have to do something, the chores, whatever. that stuff produces cortisol. So you could be eating the best plate you have on in front of you, but it does not do any good for your digestion. If the nervous system picks up that George is stressed out, it shuts down. I use this particular let's say story to elaborate this. Let's say you're having a great picnic, you're by yourself, lunchtime, you're under a tree somewhere, and then all of a sudden you see this pit bull, drooling coming to you, and you know it's going to attack you. You have two choices. One, you fight the pit bull, or two, forget your lunch and what you were eating and just fly, go away. At that moment, naturally, your body produces cortisol and adrenaline, and everything shuts down. All your energy, everything goes to your bones and your muscles to just fly away. What that does is it produces cortisol. But the nervous system does not know if you are followed by a pit bull, or if you're stressed out because you had an argument at work, or with your partner, or you're anxious about, you know, even let's say diagnosis. Whatever causes your anxiety, that also produces cortisol. But the one that is a silent killer is the emotional clutter that we carry through the years, that whenever we remember something, or that produces cortisol.
Yeah.
With time the body cannot really manage that, and it starts being inflamed. But if on top of that you eat foods that are acidic, then you're inflaming your body even more. So the key here is understanding several things from your physical body. This is the work I do: your emotional self, your mental self, and your soul, your spiritual self. I see them and explain to my clients. It's like a four-legged table. If one of the legs is missing, you cannot eat on that table. Or if two or three are very loose, it really is not even pleasant to eat there, and eventually it would break. So there are some keys to prevent all this stuff here. If we make sure, let's talk about prevention. If we make sure about a few things, one of them is super important, and it's probably in my case, in my belief, the most important one. you know the moon has a cycle of 28 days. Every 28 days we have a full moon. The sun has a 365-day cycle. Us human have 24-hour cycle, and out of those 24 hours we're supposed to be resting from 6 to 8 hours every day. So sleeping, and a good quality of sleep, is better to have a good quality 6 hours of sleep than 8 hours rolling around bed, and not just. And there are reasons for that, for not sleeping well. We don't have all that much time, but if anybody wants to discuss that, I could do it in a discovery session at no cost to you guys. But it is
No,
very
so
important.
I'll have the link in the comments so they can
Okay.
reach out to you. But really quick, one of the things that was coming to my mind when you were explaining all of that is the phrase that I use with my clients all the time, is that it's not what you're eating that's causing the problem, it's what's eating you. It's what you're thinking and feeling when you're eating. So that goes right along with exactly what you were saying. I just
Yes.
wanted to pop that in. But all right. So now we're
Oh, no,
sleeping.
absolutely. Thank you for saying that. No, there's
Yeah.
there's plenty of stuff, but it's simple. When
Hmm.
when people hear this, they say, "Wow, this is I knew this," but for some reason we don't do it. That
Yeah.
is an excellent point. As a nutritionist, I'm also a functional nutritionist, and I actually specialize on the digestive tract, the digestive system. And this is a very good, Vicky you just brought up an interesting fact. Uh, in terms of digestion, 25% of your digestion is what you eat. It goes along with what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
But and then 75% is who you are when you eating. Are you in a hurry? Are you chewing very little and swallow? Are you stressed out? Are you just frustrated for whatever reason? Are you really eating in the car because you have to do so many errands during lunchtime? And this is a typical American
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
If you go in traffic, you see people on the one hand just biting something and then shaving. You know, you know, and
Multitasking in the car for sure.
yeah, so it really is about nourishing yourself. We're talking prevention now. Now, and there's plenty of stuff to do. No one, folks, is putting a gun in your head and telling you to do things. You manage your time, which, by the way, is not renewable. Yesterday is gone.
Mm, yeah.
So we must and we should. I just wrote about nourishing yourself a couple weekends ago. I write an email every Sunday with tips and reflections, and it's all about taking care of ourselves. And it's not hard. No one again is pushing us to do whatever lifestyle we're doing or in a hurry because this and that. We have to first think about ourselves first. I started with a 10 minute, I think 10-15 minute waking up earlier, uh, so I could actually breathe in, breathe out, and do stuff. Today, after many years, um, I take almost 2 hours every morning. I start early. I start a little before 5. But for me now is key. I wake up, I pray, I meditate, I journal, and then I go to the gym or I go for a run or I actually do some calisthenics or Pilates in my own office here in my house. I work from home. And but that is prevention. My wife and I, this is something very interesting, folks. We volunteered with it was Kindred Hospice, and that's a national company. And so we went for a while, almost a year, every Saturday to visit this one home. They told us it had 8 folks, 8 or 9 living there. Some of them in hospice for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And the common denominator of what they said was that they wished they had the time, even 20 years, 10 years, to do the things that they should really have done with friends, family, and applying or doing the things that they like. I have to say, as a CTO, I mean, I like technology. Still do, but it wasn't my call. My call is doing this, helping people. I had to get sick and battle my disease for 10 years and 10 surgeries to be able to do this. And as soon as I was, healed, well, before that, actually, I jumped ship and I started to do this. I did all my studies. I actually invested more on holistic health than actually my engineering career and my MBA. And so, but this is what I do now. So don't be one of these people. I heard somebody being interviewed with Larry King a while back about dying, and the person, I forgot his name. Larry asked him, "Are you afraid of dying?" He says, "No. What I'm afraid of is going without doing the things that I should have done." And so I don't want to get off on a tangent, but preventing is all about taking care of yourself, eating slow. The average American chews 6 times before they swallow, and when we're supposed to be chewing 20 to 30 times to process the food in our mouth. Digestion starts actually in our mouth. The saliva enzymes process the food. You chew enough, you enjoy more your meal, the taste and stuff. And then when you swallow through the esophagus, it goes to the stomach already processed. The stomach then takes every part in every organ, everything through our digestion has one particular task, not two or three. So for the stomach to receive this bomb of something that just being swallowed for six, the average is six chews. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So also learning how to eat, slow down again is who we are. 70% of our nutrition is who we are. And in terms of the inflammation and the emotional clutter and all this stuff, if we are able to deal with that, to manage that, and let's say we're ill with that. This is me. I mean, I'm talking from my own experience. Once I learned how to actually re- get rid of some of the clutter that I had emotionally, forgiving, being forgiven, forgiving myself. That's one part. And then learning to slow down when in everything I do. That was another, and I was sick. And then the most important one in terms of the physical body is to bring to eliminate that inflammation that causes the chronic disease. And how we do that? Well, there are different ways to do it. Obviously, when you sweat, when you do physical activity, you sweat and you're releasing some of this acidity. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good way. The actually the body becomes acidic, but it's because you are removing it from your organs, from your tissue, and so you sweat it. You drink water and it goes through your urine and stuff like that. And another important thing is that when you eat, you have a balanced pH plate. It doesn't have to be an extreme. Oh, I gotta go vegan. I'm gonna do the paleo or the keto diet. No, I believe in a. I teach my clients how to eat, how to create a balanced pH plate. So if you're gonna have, you love meat, I basically am about 85% vegetarian, but I do eat my fish, my chicken, my red meat. But I know how to combine the plate. What to do with if I'm having a let's say a nice steak. I make sure I have foods in my plate that alkaline the acidity that red meat produces. Some people said, well, I cut meat altogether. Well, I would advise them, okay, you do whatever you want. But red meat, by the way, it's the one that has the most source of iron. There's no other substance that we eat that has so much iron. So one thing that I see with my clients when they start with me that are vegetarians, they usually feel a little like they don't have energy or this and that. They might not have enough iron. You have to learn. I mean, you can actually, I wrote about this. You could actually do okay with being a vegetarian if you know what veggies produce enough protein. So if not, you are depleting yourself from the percentage of protein that you need in your body. So I don't want to confuse you, but really, if you are ill, the goal with my clients is that we're going to eliminate the environment where this cancer cells thrive to live, and that is eliminate the inflammation in our body. That's the first thing that we do actually in my program. We work on the physical body, ensuring that with different things that we do in terms of emotions and how to really slow down and work on eliminating this environment. If you are ill, you will this particular cells. If you for example drop not at once. I don't believe in that. It's little by little. Processed sugars, for example, it's a most acidic thing and that you can do. So it's not about eliminating extremes. It's just slower it, bring it down, and then you do other things with the plates that I'm telling you about. And little by little, that environment, that acidic environment, starts reducing to the point that the cells cannot grow anywhere. So they go away. So you see, I say always, Vicky. Let me know. Interrupt me if I
Well, I
get
I
too
have a
excited.
question before you keep going.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
You could feel it coming up in me, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, so, you know, you do this process slowly and everything, which is great. But if a person is really sick, does it not is it not a time that, and I don't know because I don't have cancer, thank God, right? So I haven't worked with you in that way. So I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, but I would think as if I had cancer, I would be saying, no, I don't want to do this slow. I want to do this fast because I'm sick and getting sicker.
Yeah.
And so is there like a difference in how you approach it depending
Yes.
on how sick the person is? Okay. All
Oh,
right.
yes, absolutely. I was one of them.
Okay.
I went really, really fast on this,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the beginning. It's a shock that you're gonna give to your cell
Yeah,
environment in
and I
there.
would think when you're really sick, um, it feels like at least you're attacking it and getting rid of it, and so it's a mental thing too that I'm getting over on it or something. Would
Yeah.
that be true?
Yes. If you are sick, absolutely. And when I say about the sugar, for example, for you, for
Mhm.
example, let's say you want to cut it completely, or if you were a smoker, it is almost impossible. You're actually wrestling with something that is a habit. So
Right.
to break that habit, it takes at least 21 days, and there's things that you do, and you replace until you really don't have the refined sugars. Then when you're fine, let's say, man, I can do it. You can have, give yourself a treat on a Sunday and just have your cheesecake or whatever. I mean, we're not talking here a concentration camp. But if you are sick, yeah, it's something that you need to actually do. The healing, my friends, happens from the inside out, not from the outside in. And I realized that almost 8 years into my treatments, and it wasn't working for me. So I just decided to go natural. And on years, almost year 8, after at that time already 8 surgeries and 2 craniotomies because I have mets in the brain. But I learned that really the healing is inside. And so when you're talking about speed, that is something that is, you and I had the other day an experience. I use hypnotherapy and many other visualization techniques because the mind is so powerful. If you learn to use your mind to bring um, messages, positive messages to your subconscious mind, the subconscious mind has no other way but just do it. And so the mind again learns by repetition what you see, what you say, what you feel, because it's basically, it does. If you say something negative, that's going to happen. Negativity will happen. If it's positive, you say, the mind doesn't know tomorrow or yesterday. The mind is in the present moment. So if you affirm things with repetition, like I say, it learns by repetition. In the beginning, your ego doesn't allow it. It says, "Oh, come on, George, you just." But if you keep doing it, and you start, it gets to a point that you feel it. That's when the subconscious mind starts acting upon it. I tell my clients, if you go to in a ship, a cruise ship, the captain has folks working in the machinery room back in the lowest level of the ship, and those guys down there don't see anything. They all they do is take the captain's orders. Well, you are the captain of your ship, and if you start telling your subconscious, those machinery folks in there inside of you, look, I'm healed. I this and that affirm stuff. It happens. It just happens. Eventually, it happens. If you look at all the, let's say, when you talk about the 8 million people, 8 million Georges that actually quit traditional treatments, are not. This is not about quitting, and 90% of my clients don't stop because they're too familiar with it. But after 3, 4, 5 months, they realize, wow, I feel much better than 5 months ago. What's going on? And when the doctor says, man, I don't know what you're doing, but this is working, they think it's just the chemo or whatever. But it's all the other stuff that they have in their hands. So you could create an arsenal of weapons, like you kind of mentioned now, that to deal with this thing. And most of them are from the inside out. And you get to the point. I met in some. I do professional speaking. I met some doctors, MDs, that were. I mean, they're human. They get sick with cancer, and two of them they call them. They now their title is holistic doctor. You know, and what happened is they started. They went like most of us to chemo and stuff, and they say, "Wow, 2 years. This is not going anywhere. Let me try some things." Still doing the chemo, to the point when they started going like that, they say, "Wow, this is working," and they had the courage, like many of us did, and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna go this route." And I have to say, folks, that I'm here talking to you because I made that decision. If not, probably I had, I don't know, maybe another 5 surgeries on me, and that was really a blessing. If they can remove this stuff, take it out, and especially when they went to my brain. But yeah, so what I do, the way I help, the way some like Vickie called me cancer coach, is I understand this disease 100%. I know exactly what, uh, and I do this first, not scientifically, because the things that I did work for me. When I decided to go natural, I worked on my emotions, I worked on my mind, I worked on my spirituality, and I worked on my body, even though that was in good shape because I am an athlete. I play tennis, both NCAA, and then I tried and I play a little bit professional tennis. Then I taught, and I always use nutrition to have an advantage. But it's not in the physical body, it's the other three legs of the table.
Hmm.
That's pretty much what I can share. I understand your friends and many of folks when I do the discovery sessions, the anxiety. I mean,
Well,
getting
I think as soon as somebody says the cancer word, because they've got it in all caps and it's a huge
exactly.
thing, right? As soon as they hear that, they could have been feeling okay, except for one little naggly thing, is the reason they went to the doctor, or maybe they didn't even feel anything. But as soon as they hear cancer, it's like you can just see their
Yeah.
energy just depleting out of them, and they start adopting that diagnosis as who they are. And
Yeah.
I've seen it many times with clients that have been amazing people, and as soon as they got that cancer diagnosis, you could just see them getting small, and as soon as they
Mhm.
started their treatment, they went from this strong, vibrant person to like being so frail. And and it can blow your mind as far as how fast they
Mhm.
progress as soon as they get that diagnosis.
Absolutely. I wanted to read actually a quote in my book
Okay.
from a colleague of mine. Uh, Let me see if I can find it. If not, okay, here it is. I want to share this quote with a fellow survivor who's also a coach, an amazing coach. He goes with the approach of plant based, but he is a cancer survivor. In fact, he stood up his first appointment for chemo. He never went. He went against his family. He's a very faithful person, a Christian guy. His name is Chris Work. And this is what I quoted in my book when I got, in terms of diagnosis, one of the first questions you ask is, why me? I'm a father of five children. I'm blessed with a great job. I'm a good Christian, a good person. Why me? But look what he writes. He says, cancer is a divine tap on the shoulder. Cancer is a wake up call. This is an interruption in your life. And there is a message attached to that tap on the shoulder. The way you're living is killing you. Chris Work. And that's not really the way you're living, the way you're eating, it's the way you're living, it's your
Yeah.
lifestyle. And so if you, the most valuable, precious item we have is our bodies, is our lives. Our bodies, without it, we're not here. I know everyone wants to go to heaven, but not today. We
Yeah.
have a purpose. Have you found, I ask my clients,
Hmm.
if when you are free of cancer, are you going to be the same person? Obviously, they're making changes
Right.
to eliminate all this environment, eliminate recurrences.
Yeah.
So when we find these roots, there's no way they're going to go back to that lifestyle. But on
Yeah.
top of that, one healer accelerator is purpose. I help them find their purpose. How many people in this hospice homes go without a purpose, without finding what their purpose was here? And it's not that hard to find.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a different way, but in a different conversation. We can have
Right.
so many
Well,
podcasts.
really quick, one of the things that was just coming up for me with that is because this is something that I refer to quite a lot is that you get little whispers from God, from the universe, whatever your belief system is, that says you need to make a change. And then you don't listen, and then it gets a little louder. You need to make a change. And if you don't listen, after a while, it's a baseball bat. That's the cancer. It's the baseball bat that hits you. And, on my podcast, most of the people that are on there are people that have survived some terrific, amazing things to find their purpose. And it changes the trajectory of their lives. And there's not one that says they wish that had never happened. They all say that that's the thing that helped them get to where they are now.
Yeah.
And so, but I would like to invite everybody that's watching or listening. If you have cancer, somebody that has cancer, or you don't have any cancer at all, still listen to everything that George's is saying to you, because you might be getting those little whispers and you don't recognize it. So
Mhm.
your gut seems to be really bothering you a lot lately, or you've got some extra headaches. I'm not saying that's a cancer indicator at all. I'm saying those are whispers from the universe, from God, saying you need to eat a little bit healthier. You need to be de-stressing. You need, and it's paying attention to those things as they come up and making a decision about a lifestyle change.
Mhm.
And so the thing too is that if you take all this information that George's has shared and you think, oh, I can do this all by myself, because he's already shared that, you do the alkaline, you chew and you do all those things. And that's a great beginning. However, it's just like you do not see the best basketball player out there on the court without a coach. And because they didn't become who they are without one. And
Mhm.
I have a coach. George's has a coach. And so if you've got something going on in your life that you need help with, don't go to your buddies and your friends, because they're probably suffering from the same damn thing you are. That's why you're together as friends. But reach out. So reach out to George's, to get healthier in your mind, your body, your spirit, and mind, body, spirit. What was the other one? Mind, body, spirit.
Yeah, and then yeah, emotion. The emotions
Emotions.
but
Okay.
that goes
Okay.
along with the spirit, with
Okay. All of a
spirituality.
sudden I thought, wait a minute, there's four legs to this table. What's that fourth
Yeah,
leg?
but you're right. It's all about you. You were, let's say, on this side of the river, and now you find yourself on the other side with an illness, with cancer, let's say, and you want to cross to the other side, but things happen. Maybe the waters raise up, the current goes up. You may step on a rock that is slippery and you fall. and so you decide to stay back. You see, fear is the opposite of faith, and no one, even the sport that I tennis for tennis, if it's individual, you either win or lose. There's no tie,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why you'll see these guys that right now, well, for the last 30 years, 20 years at least, they have coaches. They have a physical coach, a mental coach, and they have a tennis coach. They have a team,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you need to create, whether it's me or anybody else. You need to find somebody that will hold you accountable, because what you need is change of habits and getting rid of beliefs that no longer serve you. When
Mm-hmm.
those are the root reasons why we get acidity in our systems, and we actually get ourselves sick.
Yeah. If
If
I can
we
add something real quick, to me,
yes,
it's not just accountability. It's more that because a lot of us can hold ourselves accountable, but we don't know what we don't know. And
exactly,
so
of course,
to me, the biggest thing that I tell people all the time is that what your coach has the ability to do is to look at the map of where you're at and where you're going, and they can give you directions.
that's
Whereas on
that
your
is right.
own, you're just
Yeah,
like trying to figure out, do I need to do this first or do I need to do that? What if I do this? Am I going backwards?
yeah,
And so it gives them the space to actually not have to stress about the
absolutely,
direction. It is
absolutely,
somebody saying, okay, now do this.
yeah,
You finish that, then we'll now do this. And, because that's one of the things in my life as having a coach, is that I tell my coach all the time, they'll say, this is what you need to do. And I say, okay, let's do that now, because it's like,
hmm,
I want to do things as
yeah,
immediate action, because then I've pushed
yeah,
myself a little bit further and my subconscious mind is taking notes. Yep. They're doing it. They're doing it. Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but it was
No,
just
no, no.
suddenly that was a big thing for me.
That is that is huge.
Hmm.
Really, it is all about creating a roadmap to your health, and that's the
Hmm.
first thing I do in my first session, second session. The two first sessions are key because we set up a roadmap to heal. And
Perfect.
lately, I've been giving that roadmap. I mean those two sessions I do an hour and a half with someone for free. I say,
Hmm.
look, here you have your path to without again without the stress of saying, "Man, but do I have to quit my traditional stuff?" No. If you don't feel if you feel that that's something that will bring you, let's say, confidence, stay. But here's your roadmap, assuming that you continue to do that, or assuming that you're going to stop it, it works anyway. I mean, I guarantee that my client will have transformation of their health and vitality. I cannot say they will heal because I'll go to jail. No, not even the doctor can tell you that. It
Yeah.
just is helping. But you do have the answers inside. But I offer, so folks, this roadmap and a couple other things for free. And then, I just say, look, you're ready to do it. What happens 9 out of 10 times? I say, no, please help me. So then we start working together.
Hmm.
But and I love it because it's the same path I took, and it worked. That's what I share in my book. And all this stuff, the good Lord basically was conspiring for me to become a coach and not a chief technology officer. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I
Yeah.
used to joke with my kids on a Saturday afternoon, because I do take Sunday completely off, saying, "Okay, I gotta stop. I have to go play." And they say, "What do you mean play, Dad? We're playing." I said, "No, I had to prepare my week." And they said, I said, "No, because for me it's not a job. This is a calling."
Yeah.
And every time I see this success stories that you can check on my website, and a couple that are,
Yeah.
you have to consider that a miracle, just like me. I was given a 4% chance of surviving after my 8 tumors in my brain, melanoma tumors, two of them inoperable. And here I am 12 years later, almost 12 years later, cancer free, and
Yeah.
helping others do the same.
Yeah, well, I am so amazed with you, Georges. That's why I had to get you on again. And and anytime I would talk to someone who had cancer, I would send them to one of your other episodes that we did, and I said, let's do one that's just that. That's why I was really trying hard not
Yeah,
to interrupt, so that you could
yeah,
say all your stuff, because I'm notorious for interrupting
yeah.
and
And if
asking
you want to,
questions and
Vicky,
stuff.
if you want to, between you and I, we could actually do like a like a live workshop in Zoom or whatever the
Oh
venue
yeah,
is,
yeah.
about this, kind of like have
Okay.
a discussion. I'm starting to do next week. I'm starting to do this with executives. We're doing executive roundtables of 5 to 10. But because it's important for people to know that really there are more than 8 million really worldwide folks like me that decided to go the natural route. But basically, like, without saying names, a guy that you just recommended to me through his sister, he was sent home with morphine and steroids to die.
Yeah.
This kid in Australia, he has the same age as my oldest son. And not too long ago, you were the one that told me, but within 5 weeks working together, he stood up. He asked to get rid of morphine, and then little by little they took the steroids out. And within that month, he walked with help. A friend of his, a tennis player too, by the way. He walked around the block in his neighborhood, his parents' neighborhood. Then he walked to the tennis courts, and in 2 months, he was out of meds and walking around the house. And I just understand now. Vicky told me a couple days ago that he went to dinner to a restaurant with a family. They call him Little Miracle.
Yeah.
Miracles happen,
Yeah.
and you don't have to do anything on it, but just opening your heart and let the love of God come in through angels like Vicky, myself, I have to say, and many other coaches that are doing this to help. Yes, we need to live, and but you know what? The more we are thankful for what we do and we help people, the more we receive. So it is a beautiful formula.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And then I
Definitely.
teach, we teach different things that we're supposed to do that makes us feel so good. I have to finish with this. Um, there's a guy that is basically like Mother Teresa in Colombia. And this guy is not in clergy. He's just a lay person. And he has dedicated his life to help the children of the streets that live on the streets in Bogota, Colombia. And in some of the favelas, the places where the poor folks start kind of setting camp. And he has a beautiful book titled "Going Back to the." A ver, in Spanish, in English is "Back to the Basics."
Hmm.
Okay, and he says something very interesting there that I encourage. My work is not theory, guys. I ask you to do some work weekly between sessions, and one of these things that I'll tell you right now is key to healing. I've worked with folks that make 80 to $90,000 a month, and they tell me that there's something missing in their life. They have yachts, they have a beautiful apartment here, another apartment there, a huge house, talking, and they don't feel happy. They feel that there's a void. This guy in Colombia, his name is James Jaramillo. He says, if you want to feel the love of God, you have to descend to the hearts of those whom you help. It's not writing a check or just tithing. Faith without action is dead. And that's another thing I tell my clients: faith without action. So you have to take action. Faith is the certainty of what you want, but you have to take action. The Apostle James said, Don't deceive yourself. Watch out. Show me your faith with your actions, because faith without action is dead.
Right.
So
Because to me, that is the same as going to the gym and watching everybody else work out and expecting to get fit.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yes, I'm so grateful that you invited me. Chris does this a lot. Chris work and I don't know, many podcasters, and I really appreciate to be interviewed, because like you said before, it's a good way to spread the word. So I do encourage, like Vickie was saying, write comments, and if you or somebody in your family, somebody at work is going through this, let them know that there are alternatives, and they don't have to. They don't have to worry about, because there's some fear in there, that, oh, I'm gonna have to stop this, and we really are sold on the chemo and the radio, and really, I mean, I don't want to, without getting in trouble. For me, it didn't work. For me, it didn't work, and I've lost. Boy, I thought, if you read my book, you'll see. I'm the first cancer survivor in my family from the Greek side. I'm half Greek and half Spaniard. My dad was from Madrid, Spain. My mother from Athens, Greece. My Greek side of the family, my grandfather, my uncle, my godfather, who was Greek, was a cousin of my mother, another uncle, and then later my mother and some relatives around my grandmother as well. So, I thought, man, I'm doomed. This is going to happen to me again, the mind, and it did. It did, and but I said no. Well, I was blessed with 5 kids. I'm going to fight this thing. And I really thank God for my competitive, let's say, being with tennis. I saw cancer as another opponent. So I can teach you that, in, but I would not work with anybody that is not willing to do the work. Faith
Right.
without action is dead. I
Yeah.
have to say this kind of bluntly, but you got to do the work. And if you do the work, then you'll see transformation in your life and vitality, and you'll
Yeah.
find your purpose too. So
That's
that's
right. That's
great.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
multifunctioning, right? So
yeah.
thank you again, Georges, for being
Thank you.
here, and for all the watchers, the listeners. I will have all George's information in the description so that you can reach out to him and get that roadmap and get started. And then you can make a choice for yourself
Yeah.
whether you want to work with George's or try to do it on your own. But just a little bug in your ear, hire George's, because you need somebody to push you when you need to be pushed, to love on you when you need to be loved on. You've
Hmm.
got that's he's that support system, and I'm a transformational coach and a hypnotist as well. I don't specialize in cancer. That's why I send people to George's all the time. But if there's something else that maybe you're wanting help with, something about making lasting change, and you want to reach out to me, you're welcome to do that as well. But today's really about George's, and being able for me to have this particular episode to share with people about cancer and how to deal with it and get some help. And that's really what I wanted from George's today. Like I said, that's why I didn't interrupt a lot, which is my typical
Well,
thing.
no,
But
no,
I
because
wanted you to make sure you got everything out that you could get
eh,
out that would help someone.
no, and thank you so much. God bless you for what you do, and I tell people, if you take care of yourself, just like you take care of your pets and your car, you are for a good start already,
That's
and
right.
that's really it. We have to love ourselves before we can love others, and for some reason we believe that we don't have time for that,
Yeah.
and then it comes to a day, it comes the day that we say, man, I wish I
Wish
just
I had taken the
didn't think
time.
that. I really had the chance,
Yeah,
So
yeah, that is very true. All right, so thank you again, Georges, and I'm going to
thank
leave
you.
everybody with the last words. And for some reason, it always feels very fitting for everything we've talked about. But the best way to predict the future is to create it. What are you creating? And with
Amen.
that, we will say goodbye. Mwah.
Goodbye. God bless.